All right, and a good Wednesday to you. Sorry I missed you last Sunday. Wasn't able to do the video for JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. And again, welcome. Okay. There was a couple things that happened. I was doing the video, I was preparing, and then I was just thinking of this artist, that had just passed away. I had heard the news, and my plan was to do something, in the future, but I wanted to do it right away. But then I go, well, I have the planned out, thing that I'm going to talk about on Sunday. Ended up, time got up to me, caught up to me, and I just couldn't do it this past Sunday. So I'm doing it. I don't want the week to go by without some type of video before next Sunday. Okay. Again, welcome again, JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. A week one. Okay. Middle of the week, Wednesday. Okay. I'm sure some of you noticed the two albums I have in the back, Rolling Stones. So I wanted to give a proper tribute to one of the members that just passed. May he rest in peace, Charlie Watts. Okay. Probably looking down upon us. Okay. Probably joined up there with Brian Jones, jamming up there. Okay. So I just wanted to do a short but sweet tribute to Charlie Watts. Okay. I love the Stones. I have all their records. I might be shy one or two. They're a different breed. Okay. You can never compare. They always say Beatles or Stones. Are you Beatles or Stones? I love the Beatles. They're also in my top. But the Stones to me were a different breed. Okay, very eclectic. Their music, it was just phases of music. They had different phases going on. The early stuff, was a lot of blues influenced, rock and roll, poppy. They had their 70s run with the psychedelic stuff going on. They had their 80s run with the funky disco era. They fell into that disco. They had their, 80s and 90s doing a lot of the pop rock and roll. And I'm a fan of all their eras. Okay. But of course you always go back and say, okay, what would I like more? I don't have a favorite album. I love all their stuff. I might have some that I like more than others. So I was just trying to think, Charlie Watts is such a great, great drummer. He was such a innovative, genuine drummer. Okay. Again, one of the best out there. One of the best clocks, in rock and roll. One of the best time signature drummers, offbeat drummers. I think he was one of the original just offbeat drummer. His beats, when you hear his beat, it's Charlie Watts. Okay. I'm a rhythm section type of person. I love drums. I love the bass, and his time signatures were just so unexpected, surprised, out there. Not in the weird out there way. Just, they were just so off time, but just melded with the music almost perfectly. Okay. I'm going to talk about a song that I love. And again, I was going through a lot of their songs. I have so many favorites, Wild Horses, Can't You Hear Me Knocking, you got all these B-side songs, they have. I love all their songs. I always put their albums from start to finish. Their early stuff, Out of Our Heads, 12 by 5. It's just endless. Metamorphosis, that album. You got to listen to that album. Waiting on a Friend. It's just endless. But there was one song that I remembered. It was off of the Exile on Main Street album. This album is just a great album in itself. Okay, this album is just off the wall. It's been called one of the best albums of all time. Again, there's so many great ones out there. But this album is just all over the board. Okay. Exile on Main Street. If you say what type of genre that album is, you can't just say, oh, it's a rock and roll album. The foundation is rock and roll, but these guys were doing boogie woogie. They were doing gospel on this album. They were doing country. They were doing acoustic ballads. You know, they were doing Dixie, you know, horn sections, rhythm sections with the horn, and all enjoyable. Again, all in the rock and roll background foundation. Okay. But just, you know, using all types of different musicians in there. Piano, great piano work there by Nicky Hopkins. You know, Jimmy Miller did some drum tracks, you know, I think just two. But again, the core of the drums was Charlie Watts. Okay. The song that I'm going to be referring to that is just a great, great song is the opening track, Rocks Off. Okay. What a way to open an album, you know, Rocks Off. It has that Charlie Watts, like I mentioned, that beat, that signature, like, you know, it's just like, it's Charlie Watts. And then it has a break, you know, that break in the middle of that song, you know, it has like a divergence. It goes off a little bit into the Stray, kind of falls a little bit psychedelic, you know, distorts Mick's voice, you know, and then it just comes back and hits you in the face. You know, great vocals there by Mick. But the drums, I mean, the time he's keeping and just the drum parts he's doing, it's just an amazing song. It's a masterpiece. It's been called a masterpiece by a few writers out there. But check that song out. And in a tribute to Charlie, you won't go wrong with, you know, with any Rolling Stone stuff. But may Charlie be where he deserves to be. Okay. Great drummer. What a huge loss for the rock and roll world. You know, I never like to compare drummers, but he was a one of a kind. You know, we saw Charlie back there leading that rhythm. You know, the Stones are a great band. I've seen them 2-3 times in my lifetime, and I was, you know, Charlie was like big part of the band. You know, that I like to, you know, focus on. Okay. This album was recorded in France. Okay. In south part of France, I believe. I can't remember what the city was called. In a villa. Okay. It was recorded in a villa. Nelcott, I think. Nelcott Villa. Great story on this album. It took about 3 years to make. It was released in 72. So I think they started recording like in 69. You know, they were, I guess, running away. There's a history of the cover of this album and the gatefold of this album. Okay, these pictures right here were all taken in Los Angeles. Okay, downtown LA, Main Street. Okay, 500 block. Okay, and the back too. Okay, all these were in LA. Okay, 2 parts to the recording of the album. The overdubs and the mixing and the remixing were all done in Los Angeles and LA at Sunset Sound. The recording of the album was done in France at their mobile recording unit. Okay, I guess they owed some taxes back to the British government, so they left England and went to France. But this was a big seller, so I'm sure they paid some of the debt they owed. This picture here, this was a collage by a photographer, okay, that I guess Mick met, and it was taken out of one of the books called I think the name of this picture, this collage, was a Tattoo Parlor, I believe, and it's from the book The Americans, and it has a lot of different pictures of circus performers. You know, you got the guy with the 3 eggs there, the balls, a golf ball, a tennis ball, something like that. Circus performers there. But I just love the back cover. Again, this is all LA, downtown LA, where all the slum theaters were, the pawn shops. You know, just downtown is just you know, just it's ugly. And it's still ugly. Check this out though. You got the theater stuff there going on. I want to say they named it Exile on Main Street because of LA, Los Angeles. There's the theater stuff. I think they got the lip thing maybe from there, maybe not. Their lip logo going, you know. So yeah, 2 parts to the story of the album artwork packaging. Okay, this is a 2-record set. Double album. Okay. Great album. And Charlie plays, 95% of the drums here. I think just on like 2 tracks, Shine a Light, and Happy, he didn't play the drums because I guess he was in Europe. So Jimmy Miller did the fill-in there. This song was not a single, in Europe or in the States. Rocks Off. It was released as a single in Japan, though. They did release that in Japan as a single. They do play this once in a while live, I guess. Maybe not a whole lot. But it's not one of their, Beast of Burdens, Miss You. It's not one of those big songs that everybody knows. It's kind of an off one there. Rocks Off, opening of Exile on Main Street. But again, tribute to Charlie. I don't get tired of saying it. I just wanted to do some type of, memorial for him, because he was such an impact as well on my music listening life. My dad's a big fan of the Stones. He's a Beatles guy, and he'll tell you, I'm Beatles, but don't mess with the Stones. I'm not gonna say I don't like the Stones, because they're just great. But to me, they're just a different breed. The Stones were on a whole nother level. There's still, the 3 last remaining members, Bill Wyman, Keith and Mick. But then you got an array of musicians that join them. But who better than a drummer that was Charlie Watts' friend, it was Keith Richards' drummer. Can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he's taken over for the tour. I'm going to try to catch them one other time. Because they're still going. And you will not go wrong with just grab any Stones album, CD or whatever, and listen to it. But you got to listen to it from start to finish. That's the way to listen to good music, to these types of bands. This is the greatest hits compilation. Really good comp. I'm not really a big comp fan, but this one here I've had since, it's my dad's, since like 76 or 77. They did definitely go through their phases. That 5-album phase, Beggar's Banquet, Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. There's a phase there with Mick Taylor. He was a great guitar player as well. That was with the band. Not taking anything away from Ronnie, but Ron Wood's a great one. Black and Blue is a great album too. The disco stuff, the funky disco R&B stuff they did. Got to listen to it. Threw in some reggae as well. They like I said, they're all over the place. Kind of like a White Album by the Beatles. It was all over the place. But yeah, tribute to Charlie Watts there. Check out Rocks Off and check out that whole album. Again, you will not go wrong. May you rest in peace, Charlie. This one was for you. Thank you for joining another edition of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. Not on a Sunday today. Today was on a Wednesday, but I didn't want the week to go by without nothing from the previous. I know we're in a different week, but I hope you enjoyed this one. Kind of a different one. Probably one of my longer ones. All right, well, have a good one, and I'll see you on Sunday. We'll see what's in the works for you. All right. Thanks for